Hey, what's up? It's Bon. Let's talk about E3. So, this is the 30th. I'm recording it a few hours after we found out that E3 2023 is not happening. It has been canceled by the ESA. Let's talk about it. If you like gaming, news, talk about games, reviews, speculation, so on, please subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, like it, comment down below with what you think I talk about. E3 is canceled, and it comes after quite a bit of drama and quite a saga, so let's talk about it. So we found out that E3 was canceled today. In the last week or two, we found out that Ubisoft, Sega, and various other assumed partners would not actually be attending. Ubisoft was actually the only one who said they would be there and then pulled out. That started a lot of speculation about it getting canceled. Before that, a few months ago, there was a lot of talk of the big three. None of them were showing up. We did find out that Xbox was going to do their digital event with E3, basically as like them holding their hand out and saying, hey, we'll give you this. But Nintendo, Sony, and mostly Xbox weren't going to be a part of it. And then before that, it wasn't terrible news. One, we found out it was happening, that they intended on doing an in-person event. We found out that ReedPop, who does a bunch of conventions, including the PAX shows, was going to be running it, and people were excited. Even a few months ago, we saw plans for how they were going to have a industry and a fan area. They talked about having a big bar in the middle of it, so you could go there and have drinks and share ideas and network. And it was really, to me, the turning point was after the big three news came out. And what was frustrating about that to me is it was so disingenuous. It was so manufactured. Sony hasn't been involved in E3 for many years. Nintendo and Xbox only tacitly. They weren't doing their big shows at E3 and stuff like that for a long time. They may have had a booth, but it wasn't like they were like all in on it. And so they have always been depending on the Ubisofts and the Square Enixes and the other smaller publishers, or the non-big three. And so what frustrated me was that story was pushed so aggressively and so hard, of being like, hey, look how terrible E3 is going to be without them, even though it was not going to be terrible. They had made a bunch of changes people had wanted forever. Many of the journalists and gaming commenters who were complaining and crapping on E3 years ago were asking for E3 to update and change and become a more modern thing. And they did all of those things. They just probably did it too late. And so what's been kind of coming out, there's some interviews that I'm sure more info is coming sooner than later. It basically sounds like the big publishers need like a year, or at least like 9 months, to work this stuff out and be ready for a big conference like this. And it sounds like ReedPop and the ESA and E3, I don't want to say drug their feet. We have no idea what was going on, but it sounds like they were trying to lock stuff up in just the last couple months. And I'm sure that smaller, more agile publishers and developers might be able to handle that. But the Xboxes, the Ubisofts, these big, giant, bureaucratic messes of corporations need time. They don't move quickly. And so I suspect that there was a genuine intent by Ubisoft and some of these other companies to be there. But then as they saw other partners wavering, as they saw that, oh man, we might be the only ones who show up to this, it seems like it just kind of fell apart. And that sucks. I think it's totally fair to have your issues with the ESA. They are a lobbying thing, basically, with the US government. They claim to have good ideas and good purpose, but you can never really tell. The problem to me is that if E3 isn't alive, nothing replaces it. We'll talk about Summer Game Fest in a moment, but E3 is a unique thing. Even last year when E3 was canceled, in their digital event they didn't even do, people still called the week when all of the things happened E3. I did, and I know other people did too, even including Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, and I'm sure that drives him crazy. E3, it won't just be replaced. It's never going to be something like that again, and maybe E3 wasn't even going to do that, but there's just a aura, there's a essence, there's a legend to E3 that even when it wasn't good, it was still better than nothing. It was still better than the last 2 years. It was still better than probably this year, because there was at least even the digital event in 2021 for E3 was fine. It was basically just a bunch of showcases organized. And there was like a central E3 show, and it was pretty good, but it was mostly the idea of having everyone on the same page and taking their turn and the excitement around that. And that's not going to be here anymore. There is the week after Summer Game Fest where Xbox and a few others are doing their shows. Sony's probably going to jump in there somewhere. We might see something from Nintendo. We'll have to wait and see. But Ubisoft, all of them, they're going to do this as well. And then there's the week of Summer Game Fest. A big thing people had been hitting on with E3 for the last couple months has been that they haven't released who's going to be there, exact plans, things like that. But then no one's saying that about Summer Game Fest. But we have no idea what Summer Game Fest is. We know that they're doing a showcase in the YouTube Theater in LA. I guess there's an in-person event. There was last year too, but it was closed to journalists. But we don't know. We don't know what is actually replacing. Keighley and the Summer Game Fest crew are doing all their petty tweets and doing what they do with dunking on E3 and getting everyone all hyped up. But they're not telling us anything either. So the honest truth is that it's probably just going to be a 3.5 hour showcase that's going to be like an hour of ads and a bunch of mid announcements of the games that aren't even like cool indies, but are just there because they paid to be there. There'll be a couple cool announcements, and he'll trot out some Hollywood people he's met, because that's obviously what he is very into. Him and Kojima are on the same page with the clout chasing stuff. And I just don't think that, people have really anointed Jeff Keighley as the savior for gamers, as the king of gamers. He does the Game Awards, which typically are pretty good. He does Summer Game Fest. Last year, it was a dud, in my opinion. I don't think it was very good. He does Gamescom opening night, which was abysmal last year. It was bad. It wasn't even okay. But people are just acting like, well, E3's gone, but we're okay because Jeff's here. And that's not true. Like, we don't know what he's doing. We don't know what this is. So I don't have a personal dislike for the guy. I just think that people have really hyped him up and hyped up his stuff. And I don't know why, because what he's done so far, the Game Awards are great. They're an institution. I'm not going to complain about that too much. They've revealed the Series X and revealed a game I'm excited about, Mass Effect, the next game. They've had some cool gets for sure. But Summer Game Fest, the Gamescom thing, they aren't really great. And if that's what we're left with E3 gone, that's a bummer. That stinks. That's no good. Because as much as everyone's dunking on E3 for not getting the big three, Keighley might get a bone or two from them, maybe. But it's not like he's going to have them at his conference either. Probably, maybe he will. I'm betting he doesn't, because they're doing their own thing, because that works and it's cheaper for them to do it. I'm kind of frustrated by this. I really hate seeing people dancing on the grave of E3. I did get to go in 2018 and it was fine. I didn't even think the actual show floor was that great. What they were trying to do this year looked really good. But it's just, I really think people are getting ahead of themselves, thinking that Keighley's events are going to be the replacement. They won't be. I don't think they will be. I don't think he thinks they will be. And I think there's going to be a reality check at some point of like, ooh, we kind of miss E3. We kind of wish we still had E3, because I think Keighley's, I hope his events get better. I hope they get shorter. I hope they focus more on games than The Rock showing up, or Al Pacino or whatever. Like those events, those things can be kind of fun and cool, but they can also seem like Jeff's just trying to flex. And, I'll leave that up to you. There was an interview with the ESA president or whoever leads up the ESA. It was very vague. They were asked some really direct questions about like, hey, is E3 maybe coming back next year? Blah, blah, blah. The vibe I got off of it was that I bet there will be an E3 next year. I'm about 99% willing to bet it won't be a big in-person event at the LA Convention Center. I bet it may be even like multiple small events, and it will probably just be a week of the publishers and maybe even some of the big three doing their own thing under the umbrella of E3, where they kind of back off and just say, hey, just put our name on it and we'll kind of make it cohesive. And I think E3 will show up in some capacity next year in 2024, but I'm not expecting show floor, convention center, all that. I think that's probably done. I think they're going to lose so much money this year on deposits and clout and things like that, that next year, if they do anything, it's probably going to be them kind of trying to be the organizer of the cats, just trying to herd cats and try to get them all in kind of a week and try to frame it, with E3 brackets around it and kind of let them do their own thing, which is what they want to do. And we'll go from there. But I don't know. We'll see. Down in the comments, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of E3 getting canceled. If you think Jeff Keighley can truly replace that or maybe even surpass it. I'm really curious to what others think. Maybe I'm super biased and a big mean face. So I'd be curious to hear from you. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video if you did, comment down below like I just said. Check me out on all the socials as Bond Diesel, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places. That's all I have for this one. So until next time.